Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining. We're going to talk about generative AI, and I'll just say for utilities because if I use the word generator, it'll get confusing. But really, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to keep it non-technical and simple. And you all have ChatGPT and all these things, but we're going to talk about kind of using something very similar to build real world applications for what utilities or electric generators would use. So today's agenda is going to be what is generative AI, right? And then we're going to go into some use cases on how it works. We're going to have Rashed build it live, and Rashed go very slow. Don't get technical unless people do have technical questions, please. Rashid is very technical, but he's also a business architect, so he understands the business as well. And then at the end, we'll have a question and answer. And what I'm also going to leave you all with is that, this is just 30 minutes. You can only absorb so much. We're doing a lot of this with, so we have 7 to 9 clients where we're kind of doing this for we're going to do this for about 6 months where we're building solutions with them. But for the audience, if you're not a client and you want to work with us, we're going to just show you we have build with Integ sessions so you can build AI and we'll do it live and you bring your use cases so you can see how it works. There's no cost. But our whole goal is that, there's a way to build with AI safely and securely, and the utilities that start, they're going to understand how it works, limitations, where it makes sense, where it doesn't. And if you start now, then, in a year, you'll really be glad because you'll be so much better for it. The stuff that we're going to show you literally within minutes, we're building what would take a month to do. So it's amazing. It's a little bit scary. And I think everybody's scared, right? Really, the elephant in the room is when I bring this, I think folks almost are afraid to adopt it because they're like, oh my God, this threatens my job. Um, I think sitting here at Integ, we're software developers, right, Rashid? We're threatened as well by this because it's doing in minutes what took us a month to do, but it's going to be the folks that adapt to it, right? So we're going to adapt. It will be a new world. So the best time to start is now. That's the only thing I can say is we really need to keep an open mind, especially in utilities. People see this and they either say, it's not for me, or this threatens my position. And both of those, I think, long term are not going to be good for anybody. So just wanted to throw that out there. But this is going to be a short session, but we can build with you. There's no cost. We usually spend an hour to 2 hours when clients do this, and we've done it with many non-clients as well. So I'll show that at the end.
I
Anything
think,
else you want?
yeah, I mean, what I also saw that this is the technology or the tool that really gives the business users the whole thing for their problem solving. So it kind of takes away people like us, software vendors, a bit away. But I think this kind of solutions, what we are seeing is going to, especially folks who are analysts, especially folks who understand the domain very well, whatever the domain you are in, these kind of tools is just gonna give us so much opportunities of looking at things which was not possible in the last maybe 20, 30 years, right? So
All
go
right,
ahead, Amit.
great. So before we start anything, we have to talk about security and safety, right? Um, Here's our take. The first thing we want to talk about is we don't trust AI to run in production. And what I mean is that we believe in using AI to create software, which is a repeatable solution. So you use AI to create the solution, which every time you run it, it is going to run the same way. So, but if you use AI in production and you ask it live every time, it can give you a different answer, and it's too risky um, to use. So, and I'll explain that later for those that don't understand it. Um, Aside from that, secure data handling, everything that I'm going to show you and whatever the approach we're showing you, you are not using your data to train. In fact, for what we do, if there's, 100 rows or 10,000 rows, it doesn't matter. We are not sending data to the AI. We may send what the data columns look like, or sometimes we may send sample rows, 2, 3, 5 sample rows, but we do not send your data, at scale. And even when you send data to these AI systems, they don't share it, they don't do anything with it. But regardless, for costs and everything, we don't send it, we process it, and we can talk later behind the hood how that's done. Um,
I think one way
so
I made in a technical way is we bring AI to your data instead of data to AI. I think that's what we are. That's what the philosophy is, right? So
okay, great. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And then same thing, that's all along with secure data handling is that your data does not go anywhere. It's not used for training. And then most important, right? If when you're in the real world, you could have millions of data points, right? So folks use Chat GPT and all this, and the best way I can put this is that, you're think of Chat GPT as basically a child's toy, a toy car that, when you have your kids, they drive those little cars around, right? But then you have like a big Tesla that's self-driving and all of this. That's the enterprise version, right? You're going to need all these other features that you're not going to be able to get with Chat GPT that's going to be in the enterprise system. So what we're going to show you is going to be a very similar concept, but it's taking that Chat GPT and it's putting it enterprise level so that you have the ability to, have it be super safe, super secure, and you can create solutions that your coworkers and the rest of the company can use right out of the box. So within, 5, 10 minutes, you can give it your data, tell it what you want, it creates it, you like it, then you can publish it and let other folks use it. So Rashed, do you want to add anything else to that?
I think this is a great way, right? So we have used ChatGPT for the last 1 year, and I think and I use it a lot. But I guess when we come to data, uh, it cannot be off by a single cent, right? Here and there, single digit. And when we deal with millions of rows or thousands of rows, I cannot just push into those generative AI applications out there. So this is where Amit will show you, and we'll show you exactly real and hands-on that how we solve complex problems. It's a fun, actually. After we build this thing, it's a fun tool. If you're an analyst, you will love it, right? So
Yeah, so what are some of the use cases we've done? We've been built predictive maintenance tools with this. We do generation performance. I have clients now, actually compliance is a big area. So for example, when, NERC or FERC or the ISO or RTO comes and they say, well, I need this data, I need that data. A lot of the analysts are often going and getting data from multiple systems. Now, instead of that, they're actually just telling the system and say, hey, go ahead and create this so that I can put in the dates and I can get any records or data that I want. And I can even have it put it together. Um, they're using it to automate evidence collection. They're using it to, instantly search and summarize past audit data. And this is a future talk we'll do, but you can use it to actually write your RSAWs as well. And this is going to be a beautiful thing because if you look, and especially for the companies that have multiple, lots and lots of units across different regions, this is great because you can have a standardized way to do it. Otherwise, right now, if you look at different RSOs from different units, they all look very, very, very different. So, all right, so let me share here and show you. So some of the solutions we've built are for predictive maintenance, where it's telling you, the different types of maintenance and inspections, when they're due, the health of it, how many run hours, failure probabilities, maintenance cost forecasts, those types of things. We have for performance groups, here's my EAF or my goals for like this client had EAF and E4D. What's my, goal for each unit versus um, the actual, and then some trending, and then you got cards for each unit. And all of this is anonymized, by the way. So whatever you see is going to be made up data or anonymized in some way. So again, you can see a lot of this, all of this has been created with AI and let me log in. We have some more dashboards here. Then we have dashboards for, I can go into solar performance metrics, and I can get data for, let's say this one is set up by year. So I'm going to put in 2024 and I can get my data for my solar analytics and get all of this data. I can have, dashboards for EAF forecasting. I can have dashboards for, let's say I want to do unit dispatch. I can have this, I put in my dates. Let's say I want to do February 2024, and I can get all of this data. So this is going to tell me the optimal way to dispatch my unit here. So, but yeah, so let's go back. So those are some of the actual solutions, right, that have been created. But again, you can do this for various things. What you need, right, the recipe on how you're doing this is that you're going to start with inputs. Your inputs are going to be your data and your problem statement. Now, your problem statement, well, actually, Rashed will do this live and we'll kind of show you. So, Rashed, why don't you just let's start step one, right? Let's say I keep this simple and I often use, outage events. Let's say you have outage events from NERC and or your real-time outage events, and you have some sort of cause codes with it, and we want to do analysis on those cause codes, right, Rashed? Why don't you go ahead and
Sure.
show
Share.
us
So
step one.
I think you have to stop sharing, right? So,
Yep.
okay, so share my screen. So the so we so this is an AI tool which we have, and then I'm going to do a step-by-step thing. The first step is that this is connected to, let's say, it could be connected to your all your internal systems, market systems, spy systems. Just think of this AI is connected to all your data systems. It just knows how to connect and get the data. So the first thing Amit wants me to do is do something called do a cost code analysis. So we know to do cost code analysis that I need to get some event data from NERC or GATS, Power GATS, if you're familiar with Power GATS, and maybe I'll need to get some cost code descriptions because I really don't want to know what is 2010 or 1010 chord means. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and say, I want to bring some, oh, sorry, I have some internal problems here. Give me a second. My connectivity must have gone down. Give me a second. See something. I have some internet connections. I'm getting problems.
Oh,
Having some internet
sorry.
connections.
Okay, no
Says,
worries.
let me,
Yeah,
why don't you back to your sharing? Let me just take a quick look. Yeah.
yeah. Um, all right. So while Rashid's doing that, right? So the main thing is that you're going to bring your data in. So for example, right, you have your um, outage data, you can have any other data. Now, these systems, let's say it's John using it, these systems will know that John has access to that data, right? And he's going to select the different data sets that he wants to look at. And once he picks those data sets, what the system does is it brings everything in as a starting point because that's what it's going to work on with. So you could have millions of rows, and rather than doing anything on the actual operational system that has data, all it's going to do is it's read only, it's safe and secure. It will bring all of that information into the system and it will go ahead and begin to get it ready so you can build. Once you have that, then you're going to write your prompt or problem statement and start building whatever it is that you're looking at, right? So once you do that, then the AI is going to look at your data and your problem statement, and it's going to create a solution, right? Now, that solution is what's called generative AI, right? You asked it a question, it created a solution, right? It generated a solution. And it's usually something visual, right? And I showed you all here what that looks like. It looks like this, it looks like this, it looks like this, it looks like this. So these are all created by AI. Now, why is this important, right? Really, what I can tell you is for software companies or for your internal IT, from the process of you talking about your problem or need to you actually getting a solution often takes a month or more. And not to forget the cost, even for a dashboard, it could be five, 10, $20,000, right? To do these types of things. And you've spent a month of your life waiting, right? B, you've spent 10, 20, $30,000, if not more, for this. And then each time you want a solution, it takes that long, right? So you can't experiment. If you fail, well, guess what? You can't really fail too much because you've taken a month and you've spent 10, 20, $30,000. Whereas now with the AI, I can spend 5 minutes and or 10 minutes, whatever, I can build a solution. Now, it may take me longer to test it to say, hey, does this look good? But once I've built this solution, then I can press a button and I can operationalize it so that in the future, it will run like software. And I've essentially done what I did before, except that I cut out the middleman in that I cut out IT in writing it. I cut out the software vendor and I went straight from saying, I want this, giving it my data, to testing it. Um, so if we look on this chart, right, the way this works is that you're going to give it your requirements. Right? This takes minutes. You're going to select your data, give it your requirements. This only takes minutes. You're going to do coding. Well, you're not going to do it. The AI is going to do all the coding. This is what took so long, right? All the coding. This and the fact that you have to go back and forth with your developers or a vendor like Integ. And then, so by the time you go from here to the solution, it could almost be, 30 days. Now, instead of 30 days, it's minutes. So that's the power of this. And if you don't like it, you can throw it away. If you don't like it, you can change it around. And so then you can go from here. The only step that the person working has to make sure, this is the most critical step, you have to test this, right? The AI is very good, very uh if you do it properly, it's correct, but you still have to check all your work and make sure, even if you're building in Excel, right? You have to make sure everything's working properly. And then if you like it, then you can deploy it with one click, and you can give access to other people the same way you do software today or dashboards or whatever. And you've gone from having a requirement to actually having a solution, and I'll say days because let's say it takes you a day or two to test, possibly. So rather than it taking a month, it took you 2 days, right? So, and you're saving all of that time and all of that cost. And that's really the premise of this AI. Um, so I'll pause here for a minute, and I think Adam, there was a question you were talking about. Adam, was there a question from someone?
Sorry, I was on in the backstage. Yeah, Randy Wright, he asked if there are any latency issues with using these AI tools.
So that's a great question. To answer it, it depends on how much data you're getting, right? So when you're using these tools, the solution that's created, there's going to be, there shouldn't be latency issues. But when you're actually creating the solution, it's going to depend on how much data you are bringing in. So we have two ways, and I'll get a little bit technical. One way is that we generally do everything through what's called an API. But if you have like very large industrial scale solutions that you want to do, then when you're testing, we have a way where you can go directly as well. And it's about 10 times faster. And this is only if you have millions and millions of rows. So Randy, I don't know if you want to respond and say if this answers your question, or if you have a follow-up, then I can answer that now as well. And while we're waiting, if anybody else has any other questions, let me know.
So one of the things, Amit, so I'm having some technical problems from my end. I can show some of the chats, but I have some
Yeah,
problems.
let's go for it. So why don't we show let's say yeah,
Sure.
why don't you show a solution for, like, let's say solar
Yeah, I was
I
having problems. So I'm going to show some of the chats I've done before. For some reason, it's
And
just
as you
blocking
set
my.
that up, Rashed, Amit, there is a question from Abe. Can you tell the AI to generate a solution similar to another solution as done in the past? And can you give it requirements for what charts and et cetera will appear in the dashboard?
Sure. So
Yeah,
let me take
yeah.
this thing, right? So here an example, I have asked my AI to do my some solar. So one of the problems which came out to me was that how do I a
I think
client of
you're gonna have to
ours,
share. Sorry.
I'm sharing,
Okay.
right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, looks good.
So one
Amit, you may
of
be
the,
having some technical issues as your video is not showing, but we can see Rashed's screen share.
yeah, something is going on. So so one of the problem statements came to us was that how do you one of my clients asked that, can you show me some solar performance metrics, right? Which NERC published. So I really didn't know too much about what the performance metrics were. So I went to NERC DRI and I copied what we call a knowledge, which is the requirements, right? So I kind of copied the entire requirements to into a concept and knowledge within our AI. So here, as you can see, I have added the resource planning outage hours and the resource maintenance outage hours, and a lot of these matrix copies and pasted it, and just asked AI to make it nicer. Then what I did, I went to it can connect to NERC, or I have data in my GAT system, brought the data in, right? Brought the performance data in, and asked AI using this applied knowledge that can you go ahead and calculate all my solar metrics? And it kind of on the fly did everything. And it kind of showed me here it is, here's your different performance factors. And here's the different graphs, kind of gave you exactly what the formulas are and everything if you like it. Then what I did was at that time, I went ahead and actually created a dashboard. Over here, I can create something called create dashboards. So when I create dashboards, the underlying code which AI generated created dashboards. Now, when I run the dashboards all the time, I will get the same answers over and over again. So the the thing is that so the issue which we solved that you could ask your questions, you can bring complex problem requirements in, and you can ask, and the AI will generate the entire solutions. And if you validate everything, you can just create a dashboard, and that dashboard can be used within our applications. You can also have Power BI consume what the problem statement did by this AI, and you can also show in Power BI. In this example, I have chatted sometimes how to do a unit dispatch. I have chatted how to show here, how to have done, showed it a lot of cost code analysis. So you can do a lot of various simulations and dispatch problem statements. You can just bring your problem statement in, bring the data in, and then it will create all the dashboards, and then it exposes dashboards. So Amit,
Yeah,
you
and
were
so yeah, so to answer that question, when let's go to that plus sign with the dashboards, right, Rashid? So yeah,
sure.
and go to the top 10 cost codes, please.
Okay.
One. Yeah.
So
So if you go to this with the cause codes, then when you're creating the dashboard, you can, first of all, if you don't like these visualizations, you can ask it to generate new ones or change these. And then when you're creating the dashboard, you can pick which visualizations and tables you want from here to put into your dashboard. So I think somebody asked that. So when you're doing this, you can pick which
can choose.
ones you want. So you
You
can
can
say, hey, I
choose. You can
want this
choose.
visualization. I want, that visualization. It'll go ahead and start adding those different ones within here into the dashboard, into the dashboards, and you can move them around or do whatever you want within here. Now you can also ask the AI to just generate the entire thing and not let you do this. We have a way to do that too, but we like this way better where you can choose things, move them around, do whatever you want within the system. So
I want to raise a question that one of our attendees put in the Q&A around testing. Can you guys go a little bit more in depth into what you all are doing, maybe a step-by-step or brief overview of the testing phase?
sure.
Uh,
So all right, let me go back to
sure.
the slide here and all right. So in this testing phase, number one, when you're doing the chats, right? So for example, let me go back into the chat for can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
All right. So again, requirements, something got generated and you're testing, right? When you're actually doing this testing, a part of the prompt that I like to put is to say, hey, as if I'm doing calculations, or whatever, I say, show me the results, show me the intermediate values where I can see how you're doing the calculations. Put them in a tabular format. This helps me make sure that I can recreate those answers within, what the chat is doing. Because if I don't tell it that, then it's not going to, it may or may not do it, right? Number one. And a good example of that, let me see if I can go into that and show you a good example of that. Say this, if I look at the solar performance, right? When it did this, it gave me, not just what it's doing, but it often did it and it said, hey, this is actually, these are the values when I'm doing these types of things, right? So if I have Excel, I can use Excel to double check the values, and I can even tell it to say, hey, output this data in this specific format. Give me the input data, give me the output data, and then create a tab where you've done the calculation so I can see it. Then I can check it myself. Another way to do this is that you have the outputs, right? Whatever these outputs are from the system or from the dashboards. So if I can go, let's say, to this solar dashboard, right, which went and it created results for me. Then as part of the output, instead of just the charts, I can also, I have these different um, grids, and I can download these grids, and these could be the output values, and I can have my own output values, and then I can ask AI to take my data and then have it compare it to the output value. So I don't have to do the comparison myself, So those are just simple ways. The other things that we're doing is when you put in the knowledge and everything, you can actually tell it, for example, data validation, right? Because everything may work great, but if your input data is bad, then what do you do? Then you can also tell the AI that, hey, if you get the input data, and if input data is bad, then create something that tells me exactly which data is bad, right? So you can see it right away. Or if it's bad, don't generate the solutions and just say, hey, input data was bad. So you can go down to those levels. What we're also seeing with operational systems, such as Pi, we're seeing that there's just, I have a client where I think last year we processed 2 billion rows, right? And they've got 60 something solar sites. So they've automated all their renewables. So there's no way for a human to keep track of that data. There's no way, even if you had a couple of things that are bad, right? So what they're saying is, if I hit some key problems where, let's say, the site stops communicating, then the AI is checking those systems every X minutes. And if there's a problem, then it's going to send you a alert to say, hey, this was bad and these specific tags were bad. So, you can do that as well within here. So it all depends what you're trying to do and what type of testing you're trying to do within here. But it's not just dashboards or solutions. You can have it constantly check the underlying data, and especially Pi and SCADA data, and you can have it, give you alerts on what's going on. And here, I'll just bring something up here. This is an exact email that I got. So again, if you see, right, it went and sent this email saying, hey, these tags were missing and they've been missing for X number of hours. And if you've got millions of rows, and you've got thousands of inverters, then you need this type of stuff. And we go a step beyond, and we actually understand when stuff is bad and can be estimated, or when stuff is really just cannot be estimated. And then, we're checking millions of tags. And once something is actionable, then we send this email to the right person, and then they can, take process instead of somebody constantly checking this. Actually doing this process ended up saving us probably a whole person from having to, worry about data and all of these types of issues. So hope that helps, Adam. So let me know if there's other questions regarding this.
No, it's great. Just keep moving on the build.
All right, great.
So, Amit, if you
So
want me to go, I can show real stuff right now. I mean, the connectivity is back, so you want me to do that?
okay, great. Yeah, please. Yeah, so
Sure.
just one thing that I want to say is when we're building, right? It's not very complicated. Identify your data sources, right? And if you're building with us, we're not going to connect live to your data, and we don't want to, right? But you know what? Take your data, anonymize it, and have it ready. Have a use case, and we can start small. That's all. So go ahead, Rashed.
Sure. So let me share my screen. Uh, so what we are going to do is so as I was trying to do in the beginning. So I'm going to come over here, new chat, and then I'm going to
Hold on,
click.
Rashed. I think you're just sharing.
We can see
So yeah.
Rashid's.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So what we do is the first thing is we go to new chat, and over here we do add data. Under add data, we're gonna just bring our event data, right? So I'm gonna bring the card 97 event data, which is basically from NERC. So I can choose, say, I'm gonna do 2022 and 2024 because our problem statement is we're gonna do some cost code analysis, right? And also with the cost code analysis, we want some cost code descriptions,
So,
which
by the way,
is
the way this works is that, behind the scenes, somebody's going to give access to which data sources everybody can use. So, data governance and everything is here. This connects only read only. This can connect not just to your data sources. This connects out of the box to every ISO in the country. So, if you have access or connectivity, it uses your certificates to get any data. It can connect to EIA, it can connect to weather, it can basically connect to anything out there, and it can bring in multiple sources of data, and then you just give your problem and let it start solving. Go
so
ahead.
first step is you bring the data. I can say, get me the data. And here it's going to go and connect. The AI is going to connect to the underlying source of the data, where the data is, and could be anywhere, right? Could be maybe connected to ISOs, could be connected to Pi, could be connected to your databases, could be connected to systems. So it is connected to various data systems, and it's reading everything. And it can say, hey, by the way, I got some sample records for you guys. What do you want to do next, right? So, Amit, you tell me, should I just
Yeah,
ask
like
to
I
do
said,
some?
the simple example I always use is, can you
Can
do some cause code analysis and give me lots of visualizations, please?
you
Because I
do
don't like
uh,
tables.
cross code analysis and show me
Lots of
visualizations, right? So, okay, that's a
fix the
prompt
word
I'm going to get.
analysis. Oh, all right, your spelling, but it's okay.
Yeah. Now it has a think modules. It's going to understand what you're asking for. And behind the scene, it has all the execution engines. So as we mentioned, none of the data goes to AI. We are not sending any kind of data. It's asking AI that I want to solve this problem the user has for this thing. I have this kind of data sets. Tell me exactly what I need to do. I'll take care of it. So as you can see that it kind of went ahead and then
So
did the, yes.
yeah, this is generative AI, right? You selected your data, you gave it a problem. And again, if you didn't have data live, you can add it through Excel, but in the real world, that's not going to work, right? Because we need to connect with your data. And yeah, so this is essentially the first step is, or the first two steps. You selected your data, you put in your business problem through the prompt. It created all of these types of things. Now you have to say, hey, does this look good? And if so, what are the things that I want? If I'm going to create a solution, so you're going to have two things. One is you're only going to do this once, right? That's an ad hoc solution where you're like, okay, I got my answer. I don't ever care again for anything. If that's not the case and you want to save this so other people can use it, or you want to create an operational solution, then you're going to do what's called create a dashboard on the bottom. You'll hit the plus sign and say create a dashboard. And then you're going to pick which one of these things you want to see in your dashboard, because you may not care for all of these. But you can pick as many as you want. There's no limit. But once you pick those, then you create something that any simple user can come in. They're just going to go to the dashboard, press the button, and that's it. That's all they're going to do. Um, and that's basically a fifth grader can use that feature. But to use this, you need to know what you want, and you need to know where the data is roughly.
So we asked to do a lot of visualizations, Amit. So it's still doing that. It's giving you every possible combination of different things, and we could have asked more, but let it finish, and I'll show you that at the end what you want in your things. As you can see that it has done event distributions, and because we gave a more generic one, cost analysis is trying every possible combination it thinks, doing this different kind of by the years, by cost, by different event types, critical high impacts, and then at the end, when it does a full analysis of everything, we're going to show you that, okay, I want only these part of my output. So over here, now we are looking at the monthly distributions. When I brought in, saying that, okay, for these months, you have these are top four cost codes, you have miscellaneous, other miscellaneous, remove, reserve shutdown. I mean, I should have removed it, but here. So as it says, do you want to
So
continue more and more? You could stop it if you say, no, I don't want to continue.
yeah, stay
Stop it.
here. One
Yeah.
thing is, if you look here for anybody that knows this, right? There's one thing when you do this, you don't want that reserve shutdown here. So you want everything
Yeah.
else. So part of this is that you could have added, and Rashid's going to do this, right? Is you could have what's called knowledge, and that's simply writing something in there to say, disregard cause codes. And the reason we don't want to put it in the prompt is that each group may have specific knowledge for their group that you're going to use generally. So then all your prompts will use that knowledge. You don't want to keep repeating it. So, Rashid will show you next how to do that. So yeah, this is
We have done
basic.
enough. Yeah, we have done a lot of the analysis and kind of it's did a lot. And if you want, right, we can usually could have kind of saved it into dashboards. I said, it told me I've done all of these things. Now, if I want to create a dashboard, I would have just created over here, create dashboard. And then within the dashboard itself, I could have said, you know what, I want I want to do the utility unit this visualizations, and maybe the cost code severity visualizations, or maybe I want to do event type cost code analysis. And I can pretty much, in this example, let me just move this thing up from the side. I can preview it, and then I can kind of execute it that, and I could have changed it, right? I could have moved my dashboard. So you could have just asked AI to build whatever it is. Now, this was a simple problem, right? But coming back to my original problem, if somebody asks me, I want to do a very complex scenario, what do I do if I have a complex requirements? So I'm going to show you real world. Here, I'm going to ask my AI to calculate solar performance metrics, which I copied from NERC DRI, all the calculations. So in order to do this, what I'm going to first do is let me bring up the data, which is the solar. I'm going to like performance record to say, yep, I have solar performance. So not this one, sorry, there is something called solar performance. Yeah. Here, I'm going to bring 2024 data in. Now, this AI,
So,
right?
Rashid, sorry.
It does,
The
yeah.
problem we're trying to solve here is that you have some data, some file you're sending to NERC. It has your monthly NERC performance data by unit. Now, what the client wanted is NERC has a whole DRI which has all of these metrics in the NERC DRI. And it has lots of formulas, and you use the performance data to calculate all these performance metrics. And we want to calculate those. We have the basic data, but we want all these performance calculations. And that's what Rashid's going to do.
So, of course, AI will not know, right? Uh, exactly NERC specified matrix. So what we have to do is when we bring the data, we have to say, hey, by the way, I'm going to give you a knowledge how to calculate my performance metrics. And when knowledge is here, here's the requirements. I applied my requirements here. And then I can kind of say that, hey, can you calculate performance metrics and show me detailed explanation. Just a second. Can I show me detailed explanation? So here I brought my data sets, got my knowledge in, and let's see what the AI does, right? So here AI is first going to go ahead and bring its data, look at the data, look at your knowledge, right? Because it has to understand the requirements, what you have given it to that. And it's reading the data sets. Let's see.
And again, by the way, the knowledge was really, we copy and pasted the metrics from the NERC DRI. Okay, so it's nothing
It
special.
takes few minutes just because, yeah, and none of them are trained, right? Because you can ask any questions, you can ask anything, you can bring any requirements in. So that's why it has to look at your requirements, look at your data sets, understand your data sets, and then coordinate with different little AIs which we have built internally, and then coming up with a plan. So here is the solar metrics data sets which brought it in, kind of showing you the all the information which we asked for, and here it's just calculated all the RUF, POF, RMOF, all of these matrix which I've
Rashid,
defined.
click
Yeah.
on that arrow, please, with the grid, please. So yeah, all these grids that you're gonna have, they're gonna have lots of data. You can filter, you can save it to Excel, all of this. It's just showing you in a more compact way because there's could be over 100 columns here, right? And you could have thousands, you can have a million rows here, but it'll just show it in a compact fashion here. And so Rashid, one
Yeah.
question I have for you, when you
Yes.
created that knowledge, right? It seems like it's daunting, but what did you really do for that?
So what I did, right? I went to NERC. I went to like the if I go to here, solar NERC DRI, and then under here I went to this GAT solar reporting instructions PDF, and over here I went ahead and just copied the exact the equations which they have provided in this document. All this I just copied here, and then went to something called knowledge, did new, and I can even copy right now. If I want, I just copy. Let's say I copy these, just let's say these two, and I just copy, Control C. Come here. I went to my knowledge here, did new knowledge, and kind of paste it here
Okay.
again. I went copy it. So I
Yeah.
just pasted the copy and pasted it, and then asked to create my knowledge for me. So this only steps I did, and that's it. So
Okay, great. So
so
we're kind of building this live. You saw we added an extra step, right? It's not just the user data and the problem statement. We added in something called knowledge, which is again a critical part of this as well. And you, as you do this, you can add in 5, 10 different knowledges, right? Because you may have different knowledge for different areas, and you can group all of those together so the system has everything you know. And the reason we're doing this is that the AI may know a lot of what you're asking for, or it may know parts of it. The more you can provide, the more accurate it'll be, the more detailed it'll be, because you may want to get more granular. Um, and then once you do this, you can say, hey, do more visualizations, change these visualizations, or, I want different ones. And then you can save it all. Once you look at it, you test it, make sure it works the way you want, then you can save it as a dashboard. So let's go to the solar dashboard.
oh, the solar dashboards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one over here. I think we already showed that, right? The solar performance
Yeah.
metrics here, and that's the one. Parameters 2024, and then that's the dashboards which we created.
Yeah. So, and what I also want to say is we're simplifying this by just starting with the dashboard, but in reality, we're doing other things where um, we're predicting things. We're having real time where it's looking at Pi and SCADA data and it's saying, hey, go ahead and send this or send that. So you can do lots of different types of things within here. Just, we're just trying to show you a very simple way of not simple, but something that's easy to understand. But even the solar example that Rashed showed you and he created within 5 minutes, that could still take, it's like a month of programming for someone to do this and check it and do all of that. And you can do it within minutes. And, it may still take you a day to test it, but it's still 30 days of work you've compressed into, a day. So let's stop here, see if there's any questions from anybody on the call. Hopefully this makes sense.
There is
Um,
one question
sure.
that we have waiting. It's around the alerts and how they
Okay.
are driven. So is the alerting AI driven, or does the system do that without using AI?
So I'm gonna do a separate session, or I'll have somebody that will be doing it, but we use something to have the AI write the code that generates the alerts, but the alerts themselves, the code that runs is not AI. So we use AI to write the code to check all, whatever conditions, but it writes the code that, gets data from Pi, checks it, all of that type of stuff. And I'll do this in a future session if it makes sense for people. That one will be probably a little bit more technical because you have to understand how Pi works or SCADA works and, large data volumes, etc. But in production, it's not AI doing it. It's AI that wrote the code for all those types of conditions. There are cases where AI can run, but right now, utilities aren't allowing it to run in that way. Any other questions, Adam?
Nope, that looks good. I think we can stick around for a bit longer to answer more Q&A.
Sure.
I also want
So,
to
yeah,
I
what
also
I
just
want
want
to
to
highlight.
highlight our that we're going to be doing these sessions, just about each month where we build live apps. We can work on some apps with you. Just answer the poll above, and we can work on that. So go ahead, Amit. Sorry.
Yeah, so we're starting to work on these, and I have ISOs that are working with me on these. I have a cooperative that's working with me on these. I have an IPP that's working with us. I have, utility companies that are working on these. So if you want to build this with us, we're not going to connect to your live data. What you do is you bring us 1 to 3 business use cases, have some anonymized data ready for those use cases. we can kind of create it depending on what you have. We may be able to use anonymized data sets we already have, but I prefer you bring us your own stuff so you can see the results and see how it works. And we'll build together. We'll take an hour, we'll build it, see how it works. And then usually when this happens, the light bulb goes off and they bring other groups and, we can work with other groups. So there's no cost to this, but it'll show you how this can work in the real world and how can use this to operationalize. And, business users are welcome, IT is welcome as well. And the best way it works is when you have business and IT that all come together with, to work with us. So, all right. So yeah, Adam, I think that's everything I had. I had a bunch more slides, but I think we're running out of time, so we can stop here.
Yep, definitely. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Actually, I do see one more question. Will your solution work with PMUs?
Yeah, depending on, we just have to make sure that we can get access to the data. That's all. So this can, as long as we can get access to the data in some way or fashion, we can read files, we can, read databases, we can read streaming data or API. So yes, it can work. There's some minutia we would have to discuss, but yes.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Last chance to claim that gift card in the poll, and we would love to see you on the next one. And everybody here will get that alert. Once we launch the next kind of build with us session. And yeah, we'd love your feedback. If you have any requests for app build outs in the future, let us know, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.